Hello everyone, I'm Bable Jonathan and this is the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital. Dwelling our top stories tonight, the call for a coalition of opposition political parties taking part in the October 7 presidential election continue rising to the sky. Many of the opinion that only a coalition of the opposition can defeat incumbent President Paul Biya come 7 October 2018, and another opposition leader decides to support the candidacy of President Paul Biya. He is Jean-Blaise Guet, president of the PMCC party, whose candidacy was rejected by the Electoral Council of Elections Cameroon. And speaking to a reporter for me, Armstrong Sander, today in Douala, he said he's going to support the candidacy of President Paul Biya. Those were top stories. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the Primetime News on Equinoxe Television. Now we're going to start this newscast with some reactions of some opposition political party leaders who spoke to our reporters in Yaoundé shortly after the publication of the final or the official list of candidates who are going to take part in the October 7, 2018 presidential election in Cameroon. Many believe that a coalition of the opposition political parties will make a strong force that can go against the president of the republic, Paul Biya, and unseat him to the Unity Palace in Yaoundé. Smanjikan Gabriel has more.
After deliberations, the members of the electoral board unanimously drew up and published the following list of candidates presented in alphabetical order. Biya Paul, Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM.
After the publication of names of candidates eligible to stand for the 2018 presidential elections, it was total satisfaction for those whose names were retained. For one of the aspirants, Cabral Libi,
soulagement d'abord à titre personnel,
a sigh of relief first of all, and gratitude to the people who enabled me to be a candidate by contributing their little amount, and I feel privileged to be selected by the people. It's an honor.
Pour représenter le peuple lors d'une élection présidentielle, au bout de laquelle on doit quand même présider aux destinées d'une nation.
Other candidates were simply represented at the event. Paul Mahel was present for Akeremuna.
Pour nous, c'est de la satisfaction.
For us, it's total satisfaction, even though we were not worried about the documents we deposited.
Mais c'est un sujet de satisfaction qui nous fait sortir du statut de candidat déclaré à celui de candidat effectif.
Some of those retained, however, haven't rejected a coalition to topple the incumbent Paul Biya, seeking for another term of office. For Samuel Minang, who represented Serge Espoir Matomba,
il est plus que question, il est temps.
It is time for the opposition to sit on a table to dialogue and think on how they will confront the elections to enable a change in power.
Un meilleur Cameroun et de meilleures conditions.
On espère que ces candidats.
We hope that those whose names were rejected will join us to force a change.
Nous allions mobiliser à cette scrutin présidentiel.
Je suggère, pour qu'on mette un terme à toutes ces
I suggest that we'll put an end to the issue of collusion among the 8 candidates retained. We could have an internal vote amongst us, and the person who will be voted in will gain the support of everyone.
Si jamais c'est fait, celui qui sort de là, nous le soutenons tous.
But while the question of coalition still remains, others are calling on Elekam to ensure transparency and security during and after the elections. According to the representative of OC Joshua, Jean Sumelu,
c'est une préoccupation pour nous et nous avons posé ce problème.
It is a preoccupying situation for us. We have said this for 2 years now, and we think that they are going to take the adequate measures.
Le parti en tant qu'organisation nationale est en train de prendre les dispositions comme nous l'avons fait pendant le congrès.
With the publication of the list, attention is now on the next level, which is the period for campaign that will be coming up.
While political leaders are calling for the opposition political parties, those on the list of 9 candidates who will take part in the October 7, 2018 presidential election, as well as those whose candidacies were rejected, to come together on the same table and form a strong force to go against President Paul Biya, who has been in power for close to 4 decades. Some other opposition leaders are lining up behind the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, after the group of 20 opposition political parties who decided to support the candidacy of incumbent President Paul Biya. Another has made known his intention to stand behind President Paul Biya. He is Jean-Blaise Guet of the PMCC party. He spoke to Fome Armstrong Sanda. His candidacy was rejected by the Electoral Council of Elections Cameroon.
After the publication of the list of candidates retained to run for the October 7 presidential election, some candidates whose files were rejected are yet to understand why their files were disqualified. Jean-Blaise Guet of the Patriotic Movement for Change in Cameroon is one of them.
I don't know the reason because I didn't get back the file. But one thing is sure, that since the President Paul Biya has submit again his candidacy, for me, he has all that can make him to become an ex-president. He said what could have been the only reason for his file to be rejected was the fact that it was deposited with 250 signatures instead of the previewed 300 by the law in Cameroon. However, 50 signatures were later added to the initial number, making it 300. We had about 250 signatures, and from that period up to now, we got all. So our file is now complete. Not aware of why he was disqualified from the race to a Todi, Jean-Blaise Guet say he has no plan to petition the Constitutional Council. Why going to Conseil Constitutionnel when you know that election is already won by Mr. President? The president and founder of the PMCC says he will support the candidacy of incumbent President Paul Biya if solicited. Jean-Blaise Guet supported the candidacy of Paul Biya in the 2011 presidential election. About supporting an opposition party candidate, he literally says one does not marry a woman he doesn't know. Jean-Blaise Guet is satisfied that he is a successful entrepreneur in contact with several development partners for Cameroon. He hopes to work for the good of Cameroonians with whoever emerges victorious from the October 7 presidential election.
Coming back to the issue of coalition of opposition political parties to go against the President of the Republic, Paul Biya of the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party, Innocent gathered some reactions on social media and compiled this report.
The political atmosphere of Cameroon is now heating up since revelation of the 9 presidential hopefuls that will be racing for Etodi come October 7 this year. Incumbent President Paul Biya of the CPDM, who has been unbeatable since he took over power, is being well calculated by his rivals at all costs. Candidates strategize how to vanquish the expert who seeks for the 7th term in office. On social media, some candidates, just like their supporters, see coalition of the opposition as a millstone to drown Paul Biya of the Elephant CPDM, who has gained support from some 20 political parties. Amongst them is Cabral Libi of Univers.
Je suggère, pour qu'on mette un terme à toutes ces supputations autour de la coalition.
To him, if all 8 candidates assemble to elect one representative, then there is no doubt power will change hands after 35 years and a new historical page added in the history book of the Republic of Cameroon.
Battons pour qu'il soit élu.
Another candidate who wishes for coalition is Professor Maurice Kamto of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement Party. He requests for a union of opposition parties to sort out ways to deal away with the current regime for the betterness of Cameroon. Kamto calls on all in Cameroon and the diaspora to mobilize for change. He believes with energy and power of all forces of change, he shall successfully kick the historic penalty without his feet trembling. O.C. Joshua of the Social Democratic Front, on his part, says the doors of his party is open to whosoever wants to join. He believes with alliance of the forces of change, Cameroon can be saved. He had earlier said a coalition of opposition parties is not the sole reliable means to win an election. According to Akere Muna of FPD, supporters call for a coalition. Thus, the need for a meeting of all candidates to discuss on the subject that might bring them the long-desired change. Fingers are still crossed as the call for coalition of candidates against Paul Biya still flies in the air.
In the report coming up next, we're going to take a look at some old players as far as the presidential election in the Republic of Cameroon is concerned. The two of them on the list of 9 candidates for the October 7, 2018 presidential election, Gaga Aman Aji and Adamu Damjuya, both of them are of the same generation. Details in the upcoming report.
Out of the 8 challengers of President Paul Biya at the 7th of October 2018 presidential election, Gaga Aman Aji and Adamu Damjuya are the old players, so to speak. 74-year-old Gaga Aman Aji and Adamu Damjuya, 76, are of the same generation. Both of them served in government in the Aijo and Biya regimes. Gaga Aman Aji was Deputy Director of General Affairs at the Ministry of Finance from 1971 to 1972, Minister of Public Service and Supreme State Audit from 1990 to 1992. He resigned from government August 27, 1992. From 1992 to 1995, the president of the Alliance for Democracy and Development political party, Gaga Aman Aji, was the very first director of the International Relations Institute of Cameroon, IRIC. On his part, Adamu Damjuya, national president of the Cameroon Democratic Union, CDU party, served as vice minister of external relations in 1975, Minister of National Education in 1977, Minister Delegate at the Presidency of the Republic in charge of state inspection and administrative reforms from 1980 to 1982, when he was dismissed from government. In the political domain, Gaga Aman Aji was imprisoned at the Koningi prison in Yaoundé for his alleged involvement in the 6th April 1984 coup attempt. He was later set free on grounds that there were no proofs of his involvement in the coup. Following the return to multipartism, the native of the Far North region created the Alliance for Democracy and Development Party in 1991. The same year, Adamu Damjuya from the West region created the Cameroon Democratic Union, CDU. At the first presidential election in the multi-party politics era in 1992, Adamu Damjuya was one of the candidates, while Gaga Aman Aji got into an alliance with John Frundi of the Social Democratic Front, SDF party. He was John Frundi's campaign manager. Both political leaders were among those who boycotted the 1997 presidential election. Since 2004, they have led their parties as flag bearers at the different presidential elections. Everything being equal, Gaga Aman Aji will be standing as candidate for the 3rd time and Adamu Damjuya for the 4th time, 7 October 2018.
Away from politics, Cameroon's Minister of Public Health, Andre Mamafoda, said the population can continue using the coordinate drugs to fight against malaria. He restored the drugs, dismissing information suggesting that it killed some persons after consumption. Details in the report.
Coordinate anti-malaria drugs, earlier banned by the Minister of Public Health, is back in the pharmacies in Cameroon. After results of findings dismissed reported damaging effects on some patients who consumed the drugs, Minister André Mamafouda lifted the ban.
Avant même de la mise en quarantaine de coordinates,
before coordinate drugs were banned, it was established by the Council of Pharmacists that the death of the child at the Chantal Bier Foundation was not caused by the drugs, and the minister, in a release, said the death of the child was not provoked by coordinate drugs, but by a virus which is very violent, especially in the dry season.
Donc une bactérie qui est très virulente en saison, surtout en saison sèche.
Coordinate drugs can thus be used again by patients to cure malaria. Meantime, Public Health Minister Andre Mamafouda has urged the population to seek advice and prescriptions from medical professionals before buying and consuming any drug to avoid undesirable, damaging, and sometimes irreversible consequences.
On our feature page in this edition of the news, we will take you to the Nyala Rai Chateau stretch of road here in the economic capital Douala, and we're going to show you the deplorable state of that road, rendering circulation more of an uphill task.
Commuters go through thick and thin on the Chateau Rai Nyala stretch of road in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. The road is in an advanced state of dilapidation. Tar has been scratched off several parts of the road where large potholes have continued deepening. This section of the road running through the city of Douala has been in this state for several months.
Potholes are there, many potholes. You are seeing yourself. Many potholes are there, so we are disturbed. We don't know what to do.
We go through a nightmare. We have problems with our vehicle owners every day because the vehicles frequently suffer breakdowns. This cab driver says the situation is worse when it rains. And he tells us that when it rains, the large potholes are transformed into swimming pools. When it rains, we cannot pass here because our bikes get drowned in the potholes. And this is what it looks like during the rainy season. Coupled with the busy nature of this road, traffic jam is a constant problem, while accidents are frequent on this stretch of road in the east of the city.
That's all we put together for you in this edition of the news. Thanks for staying with us.